gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. My name is Wesley Boudreau, one of the financial advisors here at the Retirement Group. Today we're going to talk about Roth conversion strategies and how we accomplish this with AT&T employees, both prospects and clients, all the time to help them maximize their retirement saving strategies throughout the life of retirement. Before I get started, I just want to remind everybody that the Retirement Group we're not affiliated with nor employed by AT&T. And then throughout the course of this quick webinar, we will have some information on the screen. If you'd like to follow along, have any questions, there will be a Q&A box. You can put your information in there, or you can get your question in there. Keep in mind your information is anonymous, so others will not see it. We'll be sure to try and answer that question on the webinar or follow back up with you if we need to do that. Also, if there'll be some information in the chat box, so we'll give you some information like how to follow us on LinkedIn to get updated on all the AT&T changes, how to schedule an appointment with myself or one of the other advisors in the office or over the phone. And then also there may be a survey link to let us know if this is a good topic or other topics we should address in the future to make this webinar series better for you. Now, before I get started, I just want to remind everybody who the Retirement Group is. Again, we are an independent financial advisory firm that focuses on working with corporate employees and helping them transition into retirement. We started working with AT&T back about 29 years ago, so AT&T as well as other companies are some of the ones we focus on. The reason we just focus on a few is it gives us that ability to truly understand your benefits plans inside and out, so we can help hold your hand through the transition process as you approach retirement. But there's also topics like this, where even if you're 10, 15, 20 years away from retirement, it's still something that's important to AT&T employees. We do have offices throughout the country, so rest assured if you need to sit down and talk with us face-to-face, we can still accomplish that. Also, we can do webinars or phone calls, whatever's going to be the most convenient for you. At the end of the day, if there's anything you take us up on, if you haven't done so already, is our cash flow analysis. This is a detailed financial plan that we can put together for you in a matter of minutes. It'll take probably about a 10-minute phone call to gather some data from you. Then it'll give us about a week or so. We'll get the full report back to you, and that can help us give you a better idea of what your retirement picture looks like and help you determine different strategies as far as when the best day to retire is, what the best option is on the pension, whether you're taking a lump sum or annuity, and all those different aspects. And then also can uncover different items like we'll talk about today, the Roth conversion strategies and utilizing the 401k to take advantage of that. So first and foremost, when we look at Roth IRAs, a quick refresher, again, a traditional IRA or a regular pre-tax 401k, you're going to get a tax deduction usually on the contribution. And eventually, as you decide to take money out of that in retirement, that's when you're going to be paying taxes on it. However, with a Roth IRA, you make that contribution and there's actually no tax benefit right now, but the tax benefit's down the road, because as long as you leave it there for at least 5 years and you hit age 59 and a half, the distributions from there, including all the earnings, are going to be tax-free. Now, unfortunately, not everybody qualifies for this because there are some different age limits, or excuse me, some different income limits. We'll talk about that in just a moment, and also talk about some ways around that as the code stands right now. Now, a quick diagram. Let's again assume that you have earned income. You need earned income in order to make a Roth contribution. So if you make that Roth IRA contribution, you can make that up to $6,000 for somebody that's 50 or younger that has earned income of at least that $6,000. Or you can make it up to $7,000 if you're over 50, because there's a $1,000 catch-up contribution. Now, in this diagram, you see an X on there. Some individuals may not be able to actually make a Roth contribution because of income limitations. If you're single and you have income of over $144,000, you're not allowed to make a Roth contribution. If you're if you file joint and it's over $214,000, or maybe $204,000, I apologize, but one of those two. You're not going to be able to make that contribution either. And if it's less than that, you should be able to make it, or if it's just $10,000 less, then you may have a partial contribution you can do. Now, even if you so if you can't do that, one option to do it is kind of like the backdoor strategy that's available right now, where you can actually make that contribution, and it could be non-deductible. You can make $1 million a year, and let's say 53. You can still make a $7,000 contribution to an IRA, and then turn around the next day or the next year, or whenever you want to, actually convert that IRA to a Roth IRA. So what would happen is you would actually pay the taxes if you've taken the deduction, but in the case of the individual we just said, would not qualify for the deduction. So they just go ahead and convert that over to a Roth IRA, and now it's going to grow tax-free as long as they keep it there for at least 5 years and they hit age 59 and a half. So in that example, let's say they put in $7,000 and waited a year to do it, and it grew to $9,000. They would have to pay taxes on that growth of that $2,000 in that example. Now for AT&T, they actually provide you a more flexible option if you want to get some some tax-free growth out of your 401k, whether it be in the 401k or whether it be outside in an IRA, where you have much more choices. So as far as the AT&T 401k plan, there's really three ways you can make your contributions, or a combination of those. You can actually make your pre-tax contributions, which is what most of us have done for the life of the plan, and that's the classic 401k, where you make a contribution. You get a tax deduction on it right now, and then eventually when you take that plus the earnings out, you'll pay taxes on it. So let's assume you make $100,000 a year, you put in 10%. So you put in $10,000 on a pre-tax basis. It looks like you only made $90,000 for the year, so you don't pay taxes on that $10,000. But eventually, once that $10,000 grows over the next 15, 20 years to, let's say, $20,000, $25,000, then you're going to pay taxes on all of that money as you take it out. Now, you also have the option for as long as the 401k has been around to make an after-tax contribution. So in that same example I gave you, that $10,000 you put in, you don't get a tax deduction on it now. So whenever you look to take that out down the road, it's tax-free. You don't pay taxes on it a second time. But the growth, let's again assume it turned from $10,000 to $25,000, and you took that out, the growth of $15,000 would be taxable, but the $10,000 contribution would be tax-free. Then they came along with the Roth 401k, where you can actually make that same type of contribution, but it's going to grow within the 401k plan tax-free, because it's a Roth 401k contribution. So again, just like the after-tax, there's no deduction you get right now. The difference is it'll grow tax-free down the road. The only issue here is that you're subject to the limitations of the AT&T 401k plan, so you only have those choices available to you. If you want more flexibility and more choices as far as investment strategies, or you want the help of a company like the Retirement Group or others to help you manage the account, you can make after-tax contributions and actually roll those over to an IRA, because AT&T gives you a partial rollover option. I'm not going to get through all the source hierarchy. The best way to do it is to give us a copy of your 401k statement or give us a call, and we can walk you through it. But generally speaking, if you're employed and you're still employed, you can take out roughly 20% or so of your 401k and roll it over to an IRA if you want to. Once you hit 59.5, you can pretty much take all of it. But again, it's best just to give us a call, and we can run through your specific situation and help determine if you got any of that post-86 after tax just sitting in there that's growing tax deferred, that you can actually roll over to a Roth IRA to grow tax-free. Or we can also talk about how to make future contributions to get that tax-free growth on there as well. So even if you don't have a dime in your AT&T 401k plan, there are options for you to still, again, make contributions from a pre-tax, after-tax, or Roth 401k source, or again, a combination of all those. But ultimately speaking, there's more flexibility in the higher amount you can put into your after-tax whenever you factor in all the different IRS limits. And so even if you max out the pre-tax, you can still put in up to $36,500 of after-tax money. Now, obviously not everybody's doing that, but it's something that you can do. But let's just assume instead, go back to that example before of somebody making $100,000 and they put in 10% a year. If they put in that 10% into their after-tax account or after-tax 401k, they can then turn around and potentially take that $10,000 and roll that over to a Roth IRA, so that now that window of that 5 years or age 59.5 starts ticking, and that allows them to have tax-free growth as long as they wait at least that 5 years or 59.5, whichever is longer, to touch that. Now, I would argue that tax brackets are fairly reasonable right now, and with all the government spending, it's highly likely we could see those go up down the road. So it may be more beneficial to actually get some, pay some taxes now, get it kind of have it a sunk cost and be done with it, and look at rolling that over to a Roth IRA while they still let you, and let that grow tax-free. So it's one way to truly get tax-free growth. Well, I'll remind you again, you can do that with the Roth 401k, or by making after-tax contributions and then rolling it over to a Roth IRA. The difference there is, again, the Roth IRA gives you a lot more flexibility, a lot more investment choices, and if you need the help of a company like the Retirement Group, you can have that. Now, at the end of the day, like I mentioned, there's a lot of different options to look at here, but the best way to look at it is to put together a financial plan to see where you stand and what your retirement picture is. Right now, about 3/4 of Americans over 50 actually don't even have a written plan. Like I said, if you spend about 10 minutes with us gathering some data, what your goals are, some information as to age, what your 401k balance is, pension, things like that. We can run that cash flow analysis for you, show you where you stand, and potentially uncover some different tax bombs in the future. And that's one reason why this Roth strategy may make sense for you. If you've got everything deferred and it's going to be tax deferred, and you have no control over where tax brackets are going to be in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you could have a high RMD, which is the amount you're forced to take out at age 72, and that could put you in a higher tax bracket than which you are in now. So we need to review that and back down into it to figure out if there are options to reduce that potential tax burden down the road. And obviously Roth IRAs are one of the key options that you can do that with. Now, with that, I want to kind of wrap it up, and I want to thank everybody for joining us for, again, this quick refresher. But ultimately, the best way to kind of know where you stand, if there's any options available to you, is to give us a call at 1-800-900-5867, or you can reach us at info@theretirementgroup.com. Also, if you're tech savvy, you can grab your cell phone, hold your camera up to the screen. We've got 2 links here. One to schedule an appointment with myself or any of the other advisors in the Retirement Group's office. Or if you'd like to, again, make sure you're following us correctly on the AT&T LinkedIn page we have. Again, we've got options for each company we work with, but this gives you the ability to stay up to date on different changes we have coming up or know of coming up with AT&T. And let's face it, there's been a lot of changes in the last 2 years that are affecting both management and non-management. So just outside of this Roth conversion strategy, which affects everybody, there may be some different issues that affect each individual differently. So it's really important to stay on update on that. So with that, I want to kind of wrap it up. The only question that I had coming in was the limitation as far as how much of my after tax can I do. There's not really kind of a one size fits all answer, unfortunately. Like I said before, if you can get that copy of the statement over to us, we can run the numbers and look at the source hierarchy and also walk you through online at Fidelity in order to model how much you can take out. But generally speaking, most of the after tax is accessible because of the source hierarchy on there. But again, if we were to look at doing the example I said before, let's say if maybe, let's say you had $10,000 of after tax money in there that you put in, but it was worth $12,000. If you wanted to move that full amount over, that $2,000 of growth would be taxable. So you'd either have to pay the taxes on it, or you can actually roll that over to a rollover IRA. So you'd actually end up with 2 accounts. You would actually have $10,000 going to a Roth IRA and $2,000 going to a rollover IRA. That way there's no taxes associated with it. But again, the best way is to give us a call at 1-800-900-5867. We'll be happy to go through the solution for you. I want to thank everybody for taking a little quick moment of their day. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach us, and we'll be happy to help you out. Thank you and have a great day.